ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Of the People, live on location in Las Vegas, Nevada at Worry Studios the day before Israel Appreciation Day, first ever live broadcast TV event, bringing together, as hard as this is to believe, bringing together both sides of the spectrum, nonpartisan, grassroots, interfaith. As we said, Jews just supporting Jews doesn't move the needle. And it was important to us because this has been such a collaborative team effort with so many people involved in making this a reality and success, that you all get to meet some of the people besides Ericka and I who have been so fundamentally instrumental and important in bringing all of this together. Yes. We have now with us two of the most important people in bringing this together, Tracey Miller and Lori Fineman, who have worked so hard over the hours, mostly behind the scenes. And I have to be honest, they don't really want to be up here on stage, but we made them do it. So, you know, in the history of TV, in the history of books, there's always duos that work together, and Batman and Robin comes to mind.
Oh, wow.
You know,
that's nice. That's okay.
Right?
Keep going. Those
are
two that get along, though, I believe.
You guys don't get along?
Well, we started out as like frickin' frack or frenemies.
You're frenemies?
But now we actually really have an amazing working relationship.
Absolutely. That's what anyone who has put on one of these kind of events knows, the kind of stress and intensity.
I had hair when I first started.
No, you don't lie. Why? That's fake news. Come on. No, seriously though, you guys, I have seen Robert, just his work ethic and the way that he has focused on this. But, you know, this is hard. It's stressful. It is high stress.
Yes.
And it's very easy for your emotions to kind of, you know, get all wee-weed up, as Obama liked to say.
It's a good term.
Yeah.
I like that.
And so it's hard, too, when we're in different states.
That was the hardest
We're
part.
Zooming. And so all you get is the intensity, and now that we're all together, the heart, the love, the passion, that is all you hear and see, even in the intensity, even in the stress.
Through it all.
It's like you guys are so mission focused.
Yeah.
And so now you, Tracey, you come from a military family.
Correct.
So you're just kind of like, now, Lori, do you come from any kind of military family or anything?
No.
No, but you just, but you're still you are mission oriented.
Well, thank you for noticing that, because my friend Tracey here actually called me a useless volunteer.
No.
Oh, and by the way, this is a total volunteer effort. That's
Yes.
the other thing that people need to understand. This is from the heart. This is for people. This event is for all people who love Israel.
Yeah.
And we put down our differences and come together on the things that we agree on. But I want to ask Tracey you a question, because you are as I would call a DC veteran. You've worked in DC for many organizations. You've put together so many events. So on some level, this isn't new to you.
Correct.
But on some level, it's very new to you. So share with the listeners, I mean, what's new here that you said, this is something different, not just about Israel, but how this event is coming together. And I will be honest, ladies and gentlemen, without Tracey, without Lori, without Ericka, without Larry, without Maria, none of this happens. Everyone played their part. But you having such background in this really were a glue on a level that I don't think any of us really understood.
I appreciate that.
You were.
I think the biggest difference for me putting on this event, vice the events that I've put on over the past 20 years, has been the level of resistance that I've seen people demonstrate to an organization, an entity that wanted nothing more than to demonstrate appreciation from our greatest ally overseas. So something as simple as just wanting to express appreciation from the national security aspect, from the religious diversity aspect. I was shocked to see how many people were concerned about the potential fallout for putting their name on the event, to being nervous about what would happen if they hosted our event. Unlike anything else I've done in the past, there is a genuine concern for associating with people that are in favor of our support of Israel. And so that I think is the biggest difference. The second biggest difference, I think, is I've never before worked with somebody that was so undeterred by every roadblock that got put up in front of us. No matter what the roadblock was, no matter what the problem was, you kept going. You were like the Energizer Bunny.
Yep.
So
I believe they call that pig-headed.
A little bit.
maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But,
that
Depends on what day it is.
But isn't that what's necessary in a
It
time
is.
like this? If we're going to fight back against insane, tyrannical governments, if we're gonna fight back from bad rhetoric from our own president and vice president and presidential candidate, like, we have to, as people, be bullheaded. We have to be the bulldozers to make sure we're getting heard. And so with that, with having that support, what was it like to just be like, okay, just keep going then. Just keep going. Like, what was that like?
And I want to add to that because I know, Lori, one of the things that has motivated you is the whole concept of fighting back.
Yeah.
You live in an area in the country, in Florida, that has high population of Jewish community.
Yes.
And truthfully, and I don't want to put words in your mouth, but not a lot of them really are fighting back, right?
That's correct.
And here you are saying, you know what, I want to make a difference. I want to fight back.
Yeah. And that's what my drive was. So when it got very difficult, and
If you can get any closer
oh,
to
you
the
need
microphone.
me to go like literally get
Lean
really
in.
close? Okay, how's
Yeah.
that?
Yeah.
Yes.
Batman and Robin. I told you, it's Batman and Robin.
So yeah, I every time we hit a roadblock, every time we had a disagreement, every time we were told no, that's what the passion was behind it. Was don't tell me no. We have to do this. We don't have a choice. There's not enough people standing up. And to Tracey's point, it was shocking to me how many people said no. But on the flip side, we have found some absolutely incredible individuals who have stepped up in ways that we never expected.
Yeah.
And it's actually been a very beautiful thing. Some who were Jewish, which, absolutely amazing. But even more remarkable sometimes are the ones who aren't Jewish, who step up, are willing to put themselves out there in support of Israel and for the whole West, and quite frankly.
Well, and I think you make a good point, and I think you brought this up maybe when Larry was up here. If it's just Jewish people up there trying to defend themselves, that only goes so far. Just, we need, I hate to use the word ally because I feel like that got kind of, cheapened with the whole Black Lives Matter stuff. But that's the truth. We as human beings, no matter what, can't stand on our own. And what is that expression? You said, the Jews are first, but they're going to come for you. Or
Oh,
canary
yeah.
in the
We're
coal mine.
Exactly.
There's something you say a lot.
Is that if they're so what I'm fond of saying, not fond is the wrong word, but what I think the important point for America to understand is that if Hamas and the pro-Hamas forces are successful in driving the Jews into the sea, as I said to a friend of mine, you're a Christian? He would say, yeah. I said, you're next, right? Because there's an old Middle Eastern or Islamic proverb that essentially says, after Saturday comes Sunday.
Yeah.
Right? So the Jews are, as you said, the canary in the coal mine.
Correct.
Right?
Yep.
We're the tip of the spear. And that's why this isn't really even, ladies and gentlemen, about Israel per se.
Yes.
This is about Western values and Western culture.
Correct.
And even though the important thing for this event, Israel Appreciation Day, is really to highlight and focus and really celebrate Israel, not to ignore what's going on. I mean, there was just another exchange with Hezbollah today.
Yep.
And Israel is in an existential struggle. But it's also to celebrate all the things that Israel does that are positive that people don't understand because the narrative in this country, as we said, Israel is an occupier, they're bad. And the thing that galls me is there are genocides going on in other parts of the world that
nobody's
one covers.
talking about.
But, right, we're going this way?
Yeah, this is exactly what I'm saying. How can we sit, bro? We're sitting there,
Bro?
Am I bro?
Everybody's bro.
Wow.
The audience is bro. Everybody's
We're
bro.
gender neutral.
Okay.
I just want you to know we're gender neutral.
They're
flexible.
sitting there
Better
saying,
pronoun.
genocide and we need a ceasefire and all this stuff. And yet 500,000 people are dead in Ukraine. And they're not calling for any ceasefire. They're calling for more funding to continue the war. Way more people have died in that
the Uyghurs
conflict.
in China.
What about
the
Bangladesh?
Hindus in Bangladesh. In
Africa.
Africa, the
Yeah.
Christians are being slaughtered by
They only care.
Is it
Well, and I don't even think that it's that I think the big issue right now, what we're seeing is that you've got students that are protesting on campus because they've been fed the narrative
propaganda
that there is a resistance that they can become a part of, and that ultimately there's a victim status out there that they've latched onto. What bothers me the most in this, and one of the reasons that I'm very excited that there is an Israel Appreciation Day, is the fact that there's so much funding from outside forces coming in, instigating these students. A lot of times they're not actually even college students that have infiltrated the campuses.
They're paid agitators.
They're paid agitators. They're given
organized.
equipment. They're given the organization. And the students, I think, genuinely believe the rhetoric that they're given rather than digging in to see that this isn't an organic uprising. This is a very carefully orchestrated fight on the left to bring down Western civilization. Most of the time, if you look into it, you actually see that it's a very Marxist communist approach.
So so now we have been accused of being conspiracy theorists. We have tinfoil hats in the back. I think we need to make 2 more tinfoil hats because
I look good in tinfoil.
Good. You would look good in anything. Okay, I think the entire audience would agree that she would look good in anything.
You're very sweet.
Yeah.
This is her playing nice.
I am playing nice.
Right.
So I actually have a question, if it's okay. Lori, I've got
Yes.
a question for you, because something that you all were just saying was so important. These kids are looking for belonging.
Yep.
Okay? As a counselor, as a therapist, aren't you seeing that everywhere right now?
Absolutely.
Like that's, our friend Joe Elliott, who does has a organization called Catalyst. They do this thing called the Purpose Project.
Okay.
And what he says is everybody needs 3 things: purpose, belonging, and an identity.
Yep.
And a lot of times you get your identity from the purpose and the belonging,
Yep.
right? And so what we have, particularly with generations of broken homes, are just lost kids
Right.
searching.
And what fueled that fire was, think about what happened during COVID, where we shut the world down, said we couldn't go and join our synagogues, churches, community centers, whatever.
Yeah.
And so here you have this lost population who's living behind a screen, who has no interaction with the real world. They're getting depressed. They're getting anxious. And, oh, look, there's these online forums, groups, programs, projects, whatever it is, and they're accepting those individuals who really had nothing at that time.
Yeah.
And so they felt empowered, they felt excited, they met all these new people, and then they started communicating, belonging, they developed an identity, they developed a purpose, and here we are. That fed with the indoctrination that's happening in the schools, you have a perfect storm for what we're seeing.
Yeah.
It's a shame.
And that's, how do we fix that?
You are asking the $1 million question.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing that's happening in Israel. It's like you ask anybody there, what is the solution? And everyone's like,
But I want to jump in on that because you were recently in Israel before October 7th.
I was there before October 7th and after October 7th.
And yet, isn't it also true that what's being portrayed in the press, the U.S. press, is not really a fair portrayal
No.
of the unity?
Is that a surprise?
No.
Okay, I'm sorry. I
Okay,
was just
but-
wanted to be clear that we're working on the
this
same.
But this is a U.S.
assumption.
audience that's listening.
Okay, I just wanted to
So-
make sure we were working on the same assumption
We're
here.
working-
So
Okay.
the press sucks everywhere.
I did
That's what
not
I
say
just
that
heard.
out loud, but thank you.
But I mean, really, well, look, all countries have their divisions and differences. From what I've seen and and the people I've talked to on the ground, there really is the greatest sense of unity and purpose, at least in this mission. Once Israel wins the war, and I believe that they will, they may go back to being divided again on a lot of things. But this is an existential struggle, and what I don't think, and maybe you can speak to this because you've been there post October 7th, I have not, is the unity by and large across the country.
So I would say yes. I have not been there since March, and so I think that what I'm saying may look a little different because of the long-standing hostage situation, and so you are seeing more protests that are happening. But immediately post October 7th, the entire country put aside their political differences, came together. We're 100% in support of the IDF and other services going in and, doing whatever they had to do, A, to get back the hostages, and B, to take out Hamas. Now, as that has continued, I think that in everything, the same way it happened here after 9/11, we all came together, and then as time went on, we got complacent.
Yes.
So we are probably seeing a little bit of that because it's happening. But by and large, they have come together for their right to exist and to hold on to democracy over there. So yeah, I mean, it was unbelievable. You walk into that country, there are Israeli flags everywhere. You are seeing a love and support for IDF. You are seeing the posters for the hostages. We're not seeing that. We're not seeing that here, and we're not seeing that on our media. So, I mean, I'm excited by Israel Appreciation Day because I think we're going to hear from some people who can speak to what's currently happening or not currently happening. But I do think we all have to take into consideration that what we're seeing is coming through the lens of, we talk about indoctrination, we talk about what happened during COVID, but we also have to understand that a way to take over the West is through media also, right?
Yep.
And so we have to make an assumption that what we're seeing on the media is a half truth.
Well, and that's where does propaganda come from? Where do you get propagandized? It's not like your cereal box or, you know what I mean? It's the media. It's music, it's news, it's the things that we consume. And so this idea that people like, what did you say the other day, babe? We deserve better psyops than this. We deserve better I assume, like you said, I assume everything that I hear is a lie or at least not totally true.
So you assume that, but the average person assumes that everything that's coming off on social media is the truth.
And that's why
that's the mind-blowing part about it.
Are we just is it because we've had an experience that shows us that we can't trust the media and we can't trust the government? Like, do people just have to have bad things happen to them to get to where we are?
Well, I think there's a lot of ways to answer that, but I want to direct that thought process because, Tracey, you have spent 20 years in sort of the world of DC, right? After 2004, I checked out of DC for a while because I was
which is the correct move.
I believe your expression was that even a blind squirrel occasionally finds an acorn or something. My expression is even a broken clock is right twice a day. But what are you seeing in DC with regards to the Israel issue? How is it breaking along party lines, along sort of top versus bottom lines? Because it really, the whole issue of the Israel or the war with Hamas or just in general the sort of the progressive wing of the Democratic Party is really, there's a realignment going on. Is there not?
Absolutely is. There's a realignment going on along party lines, but if there's anything that I can convey to your viewership is the fact that it is incredibly important that our policy leaders, that the elected officials hear from us to know that there is genuine support of Israel within their district. Because as much as, yes, it is along party lines, at the end of the day, our elected officials, I think for the most part, want to do a good job representing their people.
Agreed.
If the voices that they're hearing from what they believe to be their people are saying Palestinians are the victim, Israel's the oppressor, whether or not the representative themselves feels that way, a lot of them have to stop and think, is this the message that I need to adhere to? So I understand that people are nervous. They don't think they can make a difference. There's every list of reasons, right, why we decide to not get involved. It's the wrong decision. There is nothing more important right now than calling your member of Congress, than writing a letter, sending an email, and getting your voice out there. Even if you feel like it's not important, it absolutely is. So let me explain why. There is a person, I used to be this person, there is a person in every office that has a notebook, and a lot of them actually still do it on old-fashioned paper and pen. And when the voicemails are left at night, they're writing down on the piece of paper in the morning. This constituent called, they were expressing concern about this. And there's a tally kept. How many people called in this week that were concerned about my position on Israel, and they want to make sure that I'm supporting Israel? Your voice matters more than you think when it comes to dealing with your elected representative. And not mentioning any names, but I received 2 phone calls today from individuals who had been listed on our agenda as speaking in our event tomorrow that all of a sudden had things come up. Now, my sense is when everything was said and done, they had been advertised on our website as speaking in favor of Israel. My guess is they heard a lot of voices saying this isn't what we want you speaking on, and so they pleasantly declined the opportunity to support Israel. The voices against Israel are louder than the people that genuinely love Israel, and I'm positive there are more people in America that love Israel than the others.
There has to be. Okay, you guys heard it here. If you are a supporter of Israel, if you are, as one of our guests said, if you're a Zionist, if you believe in Israel's right to exist, call your local representative, call your senator, call whoever you need to call them, well, federal, senator and representative. Call Joe Biden, Kamala Harris if you want to. Let them know how you feel as well. We already know Donald Trump, former President Trump, is a strong supporter of Israel moving the capital or the embassy to Jerusalem.
The Abraham Accords radically, in a positive way, radically transformed the politics of the Middle East for the better.
So if you want to know who to vote for president, if you're concerned about the future of Israel, the choice is clear. Donald Trump. Donald Trump is it. So on that note, you guys, we're going to take a quick break, go to Israel Appreciation Day to get your tickets. You can get VIP tickets, so we can actually see
have
you.
swag.
We have swag. It's going to be fun.
And if you get the $29.99 VIP tickets, you can actually watch it on repeat. And you get this image behind us from Albert Levy, who is an Israeli artist that we actually found on Instagram, who allowed us to use this as the backdrop for the virtual VIP members. So you get that, but you get 7 days of replay also.
Do you know his Insta?
Oh, not off the top of my head, but I will get it during break.
Okay.
And break it.